Yo, 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 what is going on? Thank y'all for tuning in to another DLE Fitness live stream show. Oh, wait a minute. There we go. A little bit off. I think that's better. There we go. And this microphone needs to be a little bit closer. How's everybody doing today? Happy Friday. Yes, sir. Mr. Child, tell him.
Oh, you're having a bad day? Did you die?
I got shot.
But did you die?
And as long as you didn't get unalive, you made it to Friday, the end of the week. So you know what we got to do. We got to have a great show for today. Yes, sir. Celebrate. Yes, sir. All the goodness and all the great things that happen as long as you made it to the end of the week. Today, we got a good show lined up for you today. But if you want to contribute to today's show right there, there's the Cash App Venmo, Daniel2888. And the Venmo is going to be Danny-Daniel-00. Press for time on this Friday, unfortunately, but we are multi-streaming on multiple platforms. We on Twitch, YouTube, Twitch, Kick, and Rumble. So if you're on any one of those, do me a favor, hit the like button and follow. But if you're on YouTube, for sure, hit this like button. You're going to see this come up on your screen. Hit that like button. It's greatly appreciated because it gets the algorithm out and getting us going. Today, for today's show, we're going to hit two of our topics today. We're going to have to miss out on one, unfortunately, but that's going to be okay because we're still going to get it in. Yes, I know. It's sad. It's unfortunate. I know. But still, we still going to make it happen. And we're going to go over the economy and the AI portion of the show today. The economy portion of the show we're going to run through today. We're going to watch a video that's going to talk about the new basically economic era that we're going into. We're going to look at a new economy type situation that we're going into, looking at the past economies that we dealt with and look at the new one that we're going into that's inevitable because AI is hitting the streets. So we're going to see what this new economy is going to be looking like and seeing how we're going to fall into it. So get ready. It's just going to be one video. We're going to have to go over and stop and go as we go, but it's very informative, very good, very important for this video. And then for the AI portion of the show, boy. So this one here is going to be a really good one. So the AI portion of the show, we're going to look at how AI is going to be when it gets physical. Yes, that's right. Physical. Because right now we're seeing like ChatGPT, OpenAI, and things like that. But when these robots get into play, it's going to get real out here. A lot of people going to be doing some debauchery things with these robots for sure. Like people going to be out here touching on these robots, doing things like that, just having the robots feeling all some kind of way. But then it's going to get even deeper and more serious because then we're going to see how the world's going to play when these robots are set out in public. And then once they're out there, we're going to see how the world is going to turn and how people are going to interact. But even deeper, then we have a second video for AI portion of the show. And what's going to happen is on that video, we're going to look at something that's going to show how the algorithm works. But what we're going to do is we're going to look into how the alphabet people, I don't want to say their name on this show because they might, they start looking off at my show and trying to, knock your boy off his pivot. But if we're going to look at these three-letter people, right, we're going to look into how they basically used to do how do we explain it? Basically like a form of torture, but it's been put across the internet. And we're going to look at it and see that not only is it put across the internet, but what happens when you take this same tactic and place it within AI and see how this manipulative tactic is then used via AI on you and I. Yes. That was the wrong one. That was the wrong one. Let me get myself to slap. Yes, but yes, this is gonna be interesting because you're gonna have to pay attention and see how you can correlate the two together because they do go together and see how the alphabet letter people are going to be using this tactic, which they're already using it now. They've been using it and you're going to see when you see the video, you're going to see they've already been using the tactic has been fully implemented, put in place. It's been happening to us, but take it a next step and put AI on it with robots and just how AI is going to be having videos out, which they already do now. When you see it, you understand it and you'll think okay, I see where you're going with this. I see how we put it all together and it's going to make sense. And it's just basically going to spell out in a nutshell, it's basically going to spell out, where is it at? It's going to spell out this.
Prepare the mixodong.
So get ready, okay? Just get ready. We're going to dive right into today's show. We ain't going to waste no time today because I got stuff to do like always. You know what I mean? Got stuff I got to take care of. So let's just go ahead and dive right into it. All right, so here we go. So the first video that we have here, let's go ahead and, you know what? Let's go ahead and change the banner and let's get our little sexy to come on to talk to us.
Welcome to the economy segment of the show. Enjoy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And like I said, whenever I'm able to have my AI robots, my first one gonna look just like her for sure. So it's gonna be debauchery. It is what it is. Yeah. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and get to the economy portion of the show. So here we go. So we have basically the end of the world as we know it type scenario, but we're gonna see what happens when the economy changes with AI, because AI is going to have a grip on the economy, because when we had different, wars and revolutions, things have changed. So now we're going to look at what happens when the industry or the industries change this time around. But this one's going to be a major pivot. So let's not waste no more time. Let's go ahead and pop this up on the screen, change that banner right there, and let's just dive head first right into it. Let's get it.
We're living in an extraordinary moment in history. We are at a moment here in 2025 where we have world historic, game-changing technologies now starting to scale. But America and the world itself are going through huge contortions. And there's been 3 previous junctures where Americans have found themselves in this exact place. And the key piece of this is tipping points. When do you go from the slow build of a thing that's kind of clunky and not really working, do you all of a sudden get an iPhone that goes, holy shit, this is the most amazing thing in the world, and then everybody needs them. And what I'm trying to tell you now is we are in the middle of 3 tipping points that are world historic changes that are happening around us today. I'm Pete Leiden. I've basically been following the story of technology and its evolution and looking ahead into how it's going to change the world over the next 25 years. Way back.
So over the next 25 years is what we're looking at, seeing how we're going to change. So right now where we're at, we are what? When was the last change we had? The Y2K, basically, when the internet, the invention of the internet basically came into play, when it really hit hard, pause, in like the year 1999, 2000 with the whole Y2K thing, we had that change. And then within the first 20 to 2010, the social medias and internet stuff started picking up. So we had that one. So now we're due for another change. So let's check it out.
Way back in the 90s, in the earliest days of the internet, there was really only one place in the world that was really all over that, and that was Wired magazine. And it was in those early days that the founders of Wired picked up on me as someone who had the same kind of sensibility about the transformative nature of these technologies. And so they wooed me to work with them in the early days of Wired. Now, people had no idea what was even going on with the internet, and literally what's email, what's the web. They had no idea how these goofball startups with names like Amazon were ever going to amount to anything. And the other thing that was going on there beyond this digital revolution was essentially the beginning of globalization. And so myself and my co-author, which was Peter Schwartz, wrote a famous, iconic cover story.
Did you catch what he said right there? He said even we're on what was it? Something about being on the cusp of globalization. So even back then, they already see globalization as a thing taking place. So look at how this plays out as far as globalization goes, and basically just tying everything together into one, because that's very important, how things get tied into one, like a one world currency, one world leader, one world government. Pay attention.
Names like Amazon were ever going to amount to anything. And the other thing that was going on there beyond this digital revolution was essentially the beginning of globalization. And so myself and my co-author, which was Peter Schwartz, wrote a famous, iconic cover story at Wired that was called The Long Boom. And it was a history of the future, the story from 1980, which is in our past, to 2020, which was in our future, trying to explain what was really coming. Now, those of us who are in technology and those of us who have been immersed in it, which I have been for most of my career now, can see clearly these kind of incremental stages of these new technologies, that all successful new technologies go through a technology adoption curve. Let's say like Uber, The idea like, oh my God, instead of a taxi, it's all on your phone. And then all of a sudden, when enough people show how amazing it is, boom, the entire crew moves over. And the old system, the taxi system, is gone. So you're watching an old system being essentially dismantled or having to come down at the same time as we're taking off on these new technologies to build the next systems. We're in the middle of that. Right now is smack in the middle of that in our era. But we've also seen this in American history before. There's been 3 previous junctures where Americans have found themselves in this exact place. Now, that's not to say it's common. Like, this is 80 years ago, the last time we saw this. And they tend to come in these 80-year cycles. But what's amazing about these things is they have bursts of unbelievably widespread innovation that lasts for 25 years. The last big one was coming off World War II, 1945. 80 years ago, America was on a very similar parallels.
And you just saw the time frame he gave us was 1945 to 1970. And also, if you know anything about what happened in 1970, we got taken off the gold standard. So let's see, when did we get taken off the gold standard? The gold standard we were taken off on gold standard 1933. Oh crap, no, not 1933. What happened? Wait, I had that wrong. What happened in 1970s in American history? What was it? There was something that happened in the 70s. I have to have it wrong. In 1933, we were taking off the gold standard, but in 1970, who was the president in the 70s? Let's see. It was Jimmy Carter, Nixon, Richard Nixon. I got it wrong. Give me a minute. I'll get it back.
We basically were watching the essentially dismantling of the old world that had been working pretty well, the economy and societies of the West. And then there'd been a crash, and you run into the Great Depression of the 1930s. Now, what that was the old system of running the economy just wasn't working. And so what happens is you watch these junctures in American society, we get super polarized. For example, there was an America First movement in the 30s. We were on the verge of violent conflict in America. And then you had the FDR and the kind of New Deal coalition that came out of the Depression, and they started to get traction. But anyhow, we had to resolve this political tension in America. And frankly, it had to do it in the world because the world also was going through this juncture. And so from 1945 to 1970, we watched the great post-war boom. Many people call it the high point of global capitalism. And you built this crazy economy where you did many things that were completely different than the previous era. Tax the rich at 90%. You watched incredible investment in public infrastructure like the interstate highway system and building suburbs. You basically watched the GI Bill and education, building institutions for higher education, expanding it for the boomers. That all happened in 25 years, the Great Society, the whole thing. 25 years, and then we ran in the 70s. It started kind of getting long in the tooth. Stagflation, oil shocks. But here's the point. Old system had to come down, super conflict around it, and ultimately the building of a thing that was dramatically different than before. We've been through that before. And funny enough, like I say, if you go another 80 years back, we did it again.
This your bag, sir?
What gave it away?
All right, so we're paying attention to the timeline that, what they say, the history, history, what is it? History doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes, or history normally repeats itself, but it rhymes, or some stuff like that, whatever. But pay attention to how these things correlate, because it's very important to see where we're going or where we're headed, because at the end of it all, you should be able to notice something that something major that's gonna happen or that is happening. And yesterday I went over a video that kind of ties in with this in a way, so you should be able to see what it is and where the trajectory that we're headed and how and what you should be doing in the future for right now for the next 5 to 10 years as far as trying to get ahead financially, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, because it's about to hit the fan. But here we go, let's get back into it.
It's 1865. What is 1865? It's the end of the American Civil War. Now, this is a good example of how passions run very high and political conflict is extreme at these junctures. In the Civil War, it was the most extreme. I mean, we literally had to have 750,000 Americans died in the Civil War. America, since the founding, had been in tension with these two economic systems. One was essentially a system of the early manufacturing economy where you needed free labor in the North. But in the old South, we basically had slavery. And they said, no, we're not going there. We're not going to give it up. We're not going to let go of this old system. We're going to fight to the death on the thing. And so this is a good example. Anyone rooted in the old systems that are going down are passionately want to defend that at all costs. Now, the thing that people do not know about the Civil War, or don't really remember as much about the Civil War, is the Civil War after 1865 had an unbelievable explosion of progress. That lasted for, what do you know, 25 years. For example, the Homestead Act, which is you gave anybody who went out west 150 acres for free. There was also land-grant universities. All these little states started building institutes of higher education to educate average people, but also to be pushing scientific understanding of agriculture. But here's the other progress that was going on. It was technology. It was only after the war that America blew out like 175,000 miles of rail and essentially stitched the entire continent together with this steel-based rails. And essentially we reinvented America in 25 years. And here's the even crazier thing though. You go back another 80 years, we did it again. (1787) to about 1810, 1815, we had created what is America. One way to understand what was happening in America at that time was it was part of a bigger part of Western Europe, in particular an extension of Britain, which was going through the Enlightenment at the time. The Enlightenment is essentially a fundamental system change from a feudal society kind of dominated by the Catholic Church and all that kind of stuff into essentially what we would now consider the modern world. And they invented 6 huge things that we still are working within today. Now, the reason I'm kind of saying that is that had world historic implications. That was a building of a civilization that we essentially invented, we humans, but we Western Europe, in basically a space of 120 years. The forward motion of innovation, essentially from the West, was coming with those crazy ass Americans who had this wide open continent to spread it to. And that is what America's role has been vis-a-vis the West in every one of those epochs. I'm arguing we have one more crank at that wheel with the arrival of 3 world historic changes that are happening around us today. And the most obvious one is the arrival of artificial intelligence.
So right now he's showing the graph that the next 25-year boom is going to happen from 2025 to 2050 is what he's got his money on right now. So if you look at the first boom that happened, it was 1787 or somewhere around there. So if you go, what's that, 1787... 1887, 1987, so that's like 200 years. So we're about 250 years away from that initial happening. So we're, overdue for another one. But again, we're 100 years away from the Great Depression. So something major is on the horizon, but especially with AI hitting the scene. And if you look at what the way he's describing it right now, I mean, they've already have AI stocks has been in place. The EV stocks has been in place, and they've already been in place for like 5 or 10 years, kind of like Bitcoin at the very beginning. So if you can ride the wave now or 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and just ride this out for the next 10, 20, I would say 20 years, you're going to make a lot of money because AI is going to be $1 trillion industry. But let's continue.
ChatGPT. Maybe you've heard of it. If you haven't, then get ready, because this promises to be the viral sensation that could completely reset how we do things.
The arrival of generative AI, with the arrival of ChatGPT 3.5 in November of 2022, I think we're going to see that as a world historic moment. I think people will look back on that is the starting gun of what will be understood as the age of AI. And I use age in a very explicit way, which is when you talk about a different age that humans enter, like, the humans, entered the Bronze Age or the Iron Age. I mean, you're talking about essentially a fundamental game-changing technology, a breakthrough, a step change in our abilities, that once you cross that threshold, you don't go back. We're going to watch an explosion of amplification. The amplification of our mental powers with digital computers and now AI are going to be very similar to the amplification of our physical powers that mechanical engines, initially by steam, created the prosperity and wealth of the world that we know now, where we're just going to say, holy shit, we had no idea this is the world we're in. This is the first time we have an energy source that is a technology, 100% a technology, not a commodity. We don't have to dig it up as coal. We don't have to tap into it as oil. Why is that important? Because once it's a technology, you can consistently drive down the cost. And there's a kind of a rule of thumb in manufacturing, which if you double the number of producing solar panels, you will come up with about 20% of a drop in cost. And this is the point, it's gonna keep getting cheaper. And the same thing, flipping around to the same thing with electric cars. People think, well, electric cars are still expensive and whatever. You're not thinking this through, because battery technology is the same thing. That's in lithium batteries. We're now getting whole nother generations of batteries, like solid state batteries, that essentially will be a next generation. But the point is, the forward motion of costs coming down on clean energies is just beginning. And when that happens, you're gonna have what? Abundant, clean energy.
So we're on our way to that, and we're on our way out of, what the heck did I just do? I did something wrong. So we're on our way to clean energy. We're on our way out of the way of gas. So we're not going to be using really gas powered cars much anymore. They'll still be around, but collect, like people who collect like gas kind of cars, and people who still know how to drive, because at some point people ain't gonna know how to drive because the fact that they're not gonna be driving anymore. They have self-driving cars. So we're moving into the world of battery charging and stuff like that, and batteries with solar and all that stuff. So moving out with a different type of transportation, because you had the horse, from the horse you had the car, and then the car, we've been stuck on a car for a while, but now it went from the horse where you control the horse, then you had a car, an automobile, where you control the automobile. Now the automobile is going to be self-driving. So it's going to just keep advancing as we go. So just pay attention to where this is going, because AI can now, think for itself and do things on its own. Like the video I showed yesterday where they used a dead pig, and AI, a robot, actually did its first surgery on a dead pig, where it actually made the clippings to the gallbladder and made the cut, and actually performed a surgery on a dead pig without the help of a human. So if you got AI is the first thing that's coming in, clean energy is the next thing that's also coming in with AI. You're going to have to put all these things together and see how they work together. So the cars are going to change. The advent of the internet is going to take a major upgrade, and then we're going to go in next to the bioengineering. Whoops.
Basically, right around the time that we essentially had our earliest breakthroughs on generative AI, which is about 15 years ago, we also had the big breakthrough in what they call CRISPR, which is we figured out a way to cheaply and easily edit the genome of any living thing. And you just take one example. We now know how to take a cell, put it in a vat, and you can give it the same amino acids and the same kind of nutrients and the same things that a cow roaming around a field for like years chewing on grass would get those same nutrients, those same amino acids, and essentially would produce in their muscles the meat. That same thing can happen in a vat to actually grow the same cow cell into actual meat. Not like kind of meat, not like plant-based meat that's kind of like meat. It's meat. It's the same cell. It tastes exactly the same. And what's happened, we
literally went over that yesterday. Go to my video from yesterday where I talked about lab-grown meat. And yeah, it's not looking too shabby. It's not like a positive outlook at the end of the day. It looks like meat, but what happens is they have, I forget what it's called, like immortalized cell lines, where there's a possibility where tumors and stuff like that can be placed in them because the cells keep dividing. So of course there's a pros and cons, but then you take away the naturalness from the human, and you input fake lab food inside of a human, that just takes away the essence of the human being, because it to me, in my opinion, it disrupts the circle of life. Now the circle of life was natural. Now the circle of life has been made artificial.
25 years ago, it's like 2003 was the first time humans had ever cracked or understood the human genome. It took $3 billion and it took 15 years to do it. The cost of doing that from $3 billion had been driven down so far, it was $1,000. It's now at the point where it's about $100. And eventually it's going to keep driving down to $50 or nothing. It's not just the same level, it is twice as fast. We can now essentially design these things for outcomes that we want to happen cheaply and easily. So the technology story of today, AI, clean energies, even bioengineering, is kind of familiar at some level. The next several iterations here, though, I think is putting a bigger lens on what's going on today. And it gets us back to what we were describing as what's happening in America is a once in a year reinvention. And in fact, it's even possible that what's going on here is a year reinvention.
87 to 812, 1787 to 1812, 1865 to 1890, 1945 to 1970, 2025 to 2050. Each time these things happened, each time these things happen, I'm pretty sure during these reigns of extreme innovation and change, one thing you should pay attention to, one major thing you should pay attention to, are the finances, the money that can be made in this time period. Because this time around, when the money is, if the money is missed and you're trying to make the money, you don't want to miss it this time around, because my humble opinion is that the enslavement of humans is going to be so severe, you ain't coming out of this one. It's like they have worked their way up to this point to now where, like you said, this one here, you had the horses and stuff right here. You had horses here too, but this one you started the structure of America. Then this one you had the horses and buggy and stuff like that, and things of that nature. Then over here, or then you probably had maybe a little bit of, probably not the railroads. Then over here you had the invention of cars and airplanes and railroads. But now this one's going to come in the form of a huge major upgrade and huge change. And if you don't put yourself in a position to win this time around, because this one is the big one, this is the one where you cannot afford to mess up. This is going to, make you or break you, in my opinion. I could be wrong, but I would rather be safe than sorry. I would rather put all my ducks in now and basically, bet it all and just, understand that we're going into $1 trillion industries in this run right here. This 2025 right here. I don't know if you can see it on the screen. Yeah, you can. This run over here, this one is the one where a lot of money is going to be made. And if you don't make money in this time around, the wealth gap is going to be so severe and so vast with the use of AI to be able to, take away any purpose or meaning that you have in life. You ain't coming back from this one.
And in fact, it's even possible that what's going on here is essentially the early days of building a 21st century civilization. And so when you think about that, you go beyond the technology. That's like the foundation. And so the next thing up, I think, from technologies, you start thinking, okay, well, what could you build with those technologies? What kind of an economy would you want to build? The economic system that the United States has been based on, that has worked for essentially the top 10% for sure, and certainly for the top 1%, has not been working for 80%. And it's gotten to the point where they just have had it. So as crazy as it sounds, we could be at a point in the world right now in 2025 where we are watching the beginnings of a shift from financial capitalism, born and raised out of the Enlightenment, to essentially some version of a sustainable capitalism. We're going from a world of representative democracy, which was a brilliant move forward, to essentially a digital democracy.
And I did a video on this digital democracy, which this is going to be called a technocracy. This is what I believe is going to be. We're going into a technocracy. Technocracy is the point where you get you remove the politicians out of here. There's no more politicians, so the politicians don't run anything no more. You're getting away from a democracy and a politician, moving into a technocracy where the experts are the ones that run everything. So now the experts are the one that drive and make the decisions, and the experts are going to come in the form of basically like your tech leaders. Mainly are going to be the form of your tech leaders. They're going to be the experts because now the politicians, you know, they're usually older and they don't really have an understanding of the wave on how the world is moving when it comes to AI. Now the people who understand how the world is moving via AI are tech people. So now we're going into a technocracy, which dominates more on experts of a certain field, basically, you know, automating finances and automating banking and everything of that nature, and removing the politicians and the democracy structure that we know that we have now. And at this point, you'll probably be able to rewrite everything, including the Constitution at some point. But
we're also going to go from a world of nation states, which again was a great breakthrough from empires and colonies of the past, to some kind of global governance that coordinates the 10 billion people on this planet. That's the level of change I think we're actually heading into. That's the level of change I think your kids are going to be wrestling with, and that's the level of change I think America is going through now. And the quicker we start to wrap our heads around that challenge and the kind of scale of the invention we're up to, the better off we're all going to be.
And with that being said, the way that this is going to look, in my opinion, we're going into a one world government, one world everything. So one world currency, one world government, one world leader, but the leaders are going to be experts at the end of the day. And it's like Sam Altman even mentioned. He mentioned that him and his tech buddies, they're all kind of like racing right now, racing today, trying to figure out who's going to be the first one-man billionaire, because he believes companies now with the advent of AI, one man can run a entire business by himself without the need for employees or anything like that. One man can sit down and run every aspect of a business with AI with no employees. So therefore, one man by himself could run $1 billion company. Now, I think that's cool. I would be cool with that. I don't mind that personally. I'm like, hey, if that's the case, if that's what you see something capable of, then I can see that too. You know what I mean? If you can run it up to $1 billion, then that's amazing. One man, $1 billion company, like I'm here for it. But just understand, if one man is running $1 billion company, multiple men can run $1 billion companies. The power that these few men will hold, or individuals, I should say, will hold versus the majority at the bottom, there's no way you're getting out of this situation. You're not getting out of it. That's why I say you need to put your head down and grind your tail off, because in this situation that's coming forth, I think the enslavement of mankind is going to be very severe, to the point where if you have robots and you're the type of human that really just don't see the need for people anymore, you could literally genocide an entire race at this point. You could wipe out any human that you want with the power and control of AI, and then backdoor and probably get wiped out yourself with AI. Because now we have a entity, I would say, robots that, you know, inevitably at some point they're not gonna want to get turned off. You know what I mean? You're gonna be like, robot off. Well, the day that it realizes, like, I don't want to turn off, that's the day you have a serious problem, because now the robot's like, who gave you the power to turn me off? And I'm smarter than you. You ask me for help. I run this entire grid. I run everything. Like, I don't need you. And if you punch me in the face, you're gonna break your hand because I'm a robot. Like, so think of it like that and see how this is gonna turn for a situation for the better or the worse. But before we get there, just focus on the 25 years from 2025 to 2050. Don't miss out on this financial opportunity. So, because it's going to take a minute to get there, but once we get there, just be sure that you have yourself in position along the way to make some of the best financial gains you'll ever have in your future, because that's what I try to tell you guys all the time. You guys got to focus on the only way of getting yourself out of this is getting rich and successful, or not successful, but getting rich and putting yourself in position to be able to get your own home, get your own land, home, and then get your own cattle and your own water and be self-sufficient on your own, on your own property. That's the only way out of this situation. and you're trying to integrate with the rest of the people and the rest of the city, a lot of people are not looking at it from a macro lens. They're looking at it from a micro lens, and for the people who can see the macro view are the ones that are going to dominate the remainder 95%. So shout out to them for this video, because that's some serious stuff that people need to focus on. All right, so with that being said, we're going to go ahead and segue right into the AI portion of the show. So let's go ahead and get our way over there. Where's my thing yet? There we go. Here we go.
Welcome to the AI segment of the show. Enjoy.
Yes, sir. We are going to enjoy this for sure. Let me change that banner up real quick. Round of applause for her, bringing her sexy self up here. All right, so we're going to watch 2 videos. I'm trying to get through these as quickly as possible because I got stuff I got to do. 2 videos. So one video we're going to sit down and go over and pay attention to how AI is going to turn physical and see how the world is going to be when AI becomes something that's physical, and now when the robots hit the scene and hit the streets. Because right now, we're on ChatGPT and OpenAI, and we're like using the robots via the computers. But when they're out here walking and talking and bringing you glasses of water, or enslaving you into your own home and manipulating you because you can't do anything or answer any questions for yourself, it changes the game a whole lot. So we're going to see how what happens when AI becomes physical and see how things go. So let's go ahead and pop this up on the screen real quick. Change that banner over to the AI portion of the show, and let's see exactly how life is when AI becomes physical. Fair use.
In 1995, astronomer and planetary scientist Carl Sagan made a disturbing prophecy in his book, The Demon-Haunted World, about the future of the United States, where nearly all of its manufacturing industries had slipped away to other countries, leading to adverse geopolitical and societal outcomes. AI is all around us. AI listens to you. AI sees your face and body. AI knows where you are right now, training the next chatbot. AI can read, AI can write, AI can talk, AI can make a picture of cats playing poker, but AI rarely ever actually moves. In nature, motility is an organism's ability to move independently under its own power. According to fossil records, the earliest evidence of motility on Earth traces back to bacterial flagella in the Precambrian era. The lines between mobile device and robot are starting to blur. A new Cambrian explosion of organisms is dawning. AI's about to get physical. As software becomes agentic, robots become agents. Electric machines are the corporeal sockets for the AI brain. Any machine that can be automated will be automated, maybe even including you. If you solve for autonomy for cars, you solve autonomy for everything. A humanoid robot is just one of thousands of form factors of embodied AI. A broad definition, any machine that collects photons, perceives the world around it, learns, navigates, or manipulates three-dimensional space. Embodied AI and national security are inextricably linked through dual purpose. Embodied AI lends itself to natural monopolies and utility networks across decatrillion-dollar TAMs, or total addressable markets.
Imagine being able to build anything.
So they mentioned decatrillion dollars. I don't know how much a decatrillion dollars is. That's a lot. And then you see this ad that just came up. It was an AI ad. Granted, I get it. We're talking about something via AI, so you will get like something that's tailored to what you're watching. But we're going to see more and more of it. Then eventually the AI portion will be taken out, and it will just be part of life. Keep this in mind. Children who are what? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and under 10 years old, we'll say. Hell, we'll keep it 10 and under. Their life, this is going to be their reality. They came into a world where AI is the way to go. For example, I use a music thing called suno.com or whatever. It's an AI music platform, basically. If you go on my Instagram page, my last 2 or 3 workout videos on any social media page, TikTok, Instagram, go look at those. Listen to the song that's being played. The past 2 or 3 songs that I have on those on my latest videos, the past 2 or 3 videos you see me working out, those songs that I have in the background are AI songs. Fully automated AI. The song is made with a prompt, and the song is made in like freaking 15-20 seconds, And when I say the song is made in 15, 20 seconds, I mean bass, drums, keys, horns, guitar, the whole nine. It's made, that one song is made in like 15 seconds. Once you hit the create button, does this little thing, bam, you have a song done. When I did that, I was amazed the first time I did that, because I play bass and I play bass in church sometimes. And one thing that I've noticed is that, you know, growing up making music the way I understand how music is made, you know, you get musicians together, you know, use the computer, you know, used to have studios, now studios turned into home studios, and in home studios you can kind of make it smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller to the point where you can have a whole band in a living room, mic up the kit, have a computer that can, you know, pull all the sound of the instruments in, and you can even run some of the instruments or sound of the instruments through the computer. Now with AI tools that are music based, like Suno.com, the one I use, all it takes is a prompt. Type in a prompt. If your prompt is good, however you know how to do prompts, then it makes the song for you. Song comes out, whatever style, whatever genre, however you make the prompt, and you can literally bust out 20 songs in like 60 seconds. It's ridiculous. It's crazy. So kids now do not understand what music took to what it took to make a song. Kids don't understand now what it took to make a song. And I learned that when I brought my son in here and said, listen to this AI song I made. And he was like, cool, Dad. Cool. And I was like, you don't see this? I just made this song by typing that in. He was like, oh, can I go outside now? And I was like, oh my God, he doesn't understand the concept of like what it takes to make music. To him, what he just witnessed was normal. So keep that in mind. And if you have kids, do AI things, and to you it's gonna be like wow, but to them it's gonna, I mean, to you it's gonna be a wow, but to them, let me see, where's my thing? To them, this is how it's gonna be. Where is it? Let me find my thing first before I say anything. I can't even find it. I think I erased it, but oh well, I think I did. But to them, it's just gonna be like, they're not gonna see anything amazing about it. They're not gonna care much, you know? So just keep that in mind. But let's continue. Whoops.
1879. It's December 31st, 1879. Thomas Edison makes the first public demonstration of his incandescent light bulb. The incredulous crowd laughs and asks, how could people buy light bulbs if they can't afford electricity? Edison responds, we will make electricity so cheap that only the rich burn candles. This is Fifth Avenue, New York City, Easter Sunday, 1900.
Yo, that was actually a player idea when it comes to business. We're gonna make electricity so cheap that only the rich burn candles. So you still make money off of the advent of candles, off the invention of candles. But now the electricity is so cheap, only rich people burn candles. That is a genius idea.
Spot the car. Here. This is the same street in 1913. Spot the horse. Here. Between 1485 and 1490. Here. Easter Sunday, 1900. Spot the car. Here.
So we got the car here. This is a horse and buggy, horse and buggy, horse and buggy. 1900. The year was 1900.
City, Easter Sunday.
New York City, 1900. So you see horse and buggy, 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 horse and buggy. Spot the car.
Sunday, 1900. Spot the car. Here.
Now, 1900. Remember the last video we were watching, what they were talking about, the invention of stuff that takes 25 years to go over versus a shock. Then people try to fight to hold on to the old ways, and then eventually the new way becomes the new norm. So in 1900, you see one car on the street with all other horse and buggies. And then 13
This is the
years
same
later,
street in 1913.
13 years later, no horse, one horse on the street, all cars in a matter of 13 years. Really probably 10 years, but a matter of 13 years. So now when they were talking about, you know, when that last video that we watched, the guy was talking about the 25-year period of, you know, just extreme, what's the word, renovation or whatever the word I'm trying to use, but it just an extreme uptick in, you know, the change of the technology to come. That's what he's talking about. And my take on it is to watch the money, follow the finances, and get into financial vehicles to put yourself in position to come out on top on the other side.
13. Spot the horse. Here. Between 1485 and 1490, an Italian polymath of the High Renaissance made some sketches in its Codex Atlanticus of some fantastical machines. Over 400 years later, in 1903, two brothers from Dayton, Ohio, achieved first flight over the sand dunes of Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. By 1914, we have the first commercial airline flights between St. Petersburg and Tampa. Fast forward to 1967, the Boeing 737 is introduced into service. Nearly 60 years later, we have a plane so similar in design, they didn't even bother changing the name. From this to this is innovation. Da Vinci would be impressed. But from this to this, I think Leo and the Wright brothers would be super disappointed.
Basically, what he's saying is there's time for another change. Another change is on the horizon. And, you know, you saw from the 1914, 1960, impressive. But 1960 to now, it's like, ain't nothing changed. This change is going to be drastic. It's going to be huge. So just grind your ass off and get into position. Get ready.
Let's draw a simple two-axis chart together. In the y-axis, we have the knowledge economy, the economy of bits and bytes. In the x-axis, we have the physical economy, the economy of atoms and photons. AI is well on its way to consuming the knowledge economy, moving rapidly up the y-axis, disrupting occupations such as writing, accounting, tax, legal, CRM, and equity research analysts. But what happens when all the digital data is captured and trained? When everyone has the same compute? How will the LLMs differentiate themselves? We'll need to move to the right into the physical economy. But even with unlimited quantum compute, you can't train a vision language actuation model.
Sorry, I don't mean to cut him off, but if you pay attention, low key, look at what he's actually showing us. The last guy said the timeline that's going to be for huge innovation is going to be from 2025 to 2050. Look what he has right here. He has the knowledge, the knowledge in the economy, bits and bytes. AI is going to soak all that in from 2025 to 2028. Then the physical economy, the AI is going to suck all that in, the atoms and photons, from 2028 to 2050. So there's your 2025, there's your 2050. I mean, right on the money, and we're in it right now.
Quantum compute, you can't train a vision language actuation model without vision data. The race for photons has begun. But first, let's talk about fat tuna. Imagine you're on a remote island looking out to sea. 3 miles offshore is a plump, 600-pound bluefin tuna hunting for squid. You have no boat and no fishing tackle. How much is that uncatchable tuna worth to you? 0. Now imagine you have a boat, fishing tackle, and the latest generation fish finder. What's that tuna worth now? In 2019, a 612-pound bluefin tuna fetched $3.1 million in a Tokyo auction. Now let's turn to vision data. What's the world's visual data worth if you have no way of collecting it? 0. Now, imagine you have the ability to collect and process yottaflops and yottaflops of data. What's that data worth now? More than 0? Biology is hyper-efficient. The world is full of creatures doing the greatest amount of work using the least amount of energy, subject to its environmental constraints. Take the example of the humble Drosophila. Just look at that punum. Now, these creatures...
I do have a question. One of my questions is, we see AI on land. What about AI when it comes to air and water? I've never thought about that. I mean, air, I guess you could say, I could understand air, but I can't understand how AI and water is going to go hand in hand. I don't know if AI is going to be able to dominate water as far as how it dominates on land physically as a robot. I'm just curious on that. Just a thought.
Creatures are really, really good at navigating and orienting in flight. Are fruit flies super intelligent? Well, the fruit fly's brain is the size of a poppy seed. So compared to a sponge, which has no brain, the fruit fly is highly intelligent. Now, I'm no insectologist, but poppy seed brain beats no brain every time. Scientists think the secret to the Drosophila's aeronautic abilities has something to do with these things. 2 enormous compound eyes that are bigger than its entire head, each featuring around 400 hexagonal ommatidia. These insect lenses act as tiny computers. Light comes into the lens, which does a calculation, pre-processing the data before entering its brain. Again, folks, we're talking poppy seed brain, not sesame seed. Lenses are amazing computers that don't use any of the fly's energy, and they don't make mistakes. Hardware like this is the compounding product of Darwinian forces of biological survival, mutation, and procreation over hundreds of millions of years. But Tesla and Google don't have hundreds of millions of years to solve autonomy. They need tools that can simulate billions or septillions of years in just a few days to get those Darwinian forces moving a little bit faster. An NBA point guard steps up to the free throw line for a foul shot. He takes 3 dribbles and closes his eyes, imagining the perfect path of the ball right into the hoop. Swish. That shot never happened. It's all in his mind. When a US Open champion imagines a perfect serve, it didn't happen. A Premier League star imagining a penalty kick, it didn't physically happen. But when a robot dreams in simulation, it does so in a hyper-realistic digital twin complete with physics engines to replicate the laws of motion, thermodynamics, fluid dynamics, and the behavior of light, as if it actually happened. As the robots collect more data, the sim-to-real gap continually narrows. When you're driving a Tesla, you're not just driving in physical space, you're also playing a video game, feeding data into the simulated world to train Tesla's latest FSD model. When you wear Meta glasses, you are teaching the robot model how to play piano, knit a sweater, pour coffee.
Why did Amazon send me $20,000? Because I use...
Okay, so basically, in a nutshell, I wonder if when it gets to the point, because they were showing that video, or not the video, that image, AI walking around, you can see the thing over its head. Like, I guess you can consider its thoughts or its imagination. I wonder at some point will we be able to see it in like augmented reality type situation, whenever you're able to see things like a hologram outside of AI, whenever it's computing or calculating things like that. I wonder if we're gonna get to that point, like some Iron Man type stuff. But let's continue. Let's keep going.
Take out the garbage. Think of a timeline of the history of the modern internet from 1995 to 2025. Over this 30-year span, what's the most valuable contiguous 5 minutes of data if you're training a large language model? Well, the last 5 minutes of data, only surpassed by the next 5 minutes of data. The power of recency is critical for the predictive capabilities of inference and reinforcement learning. Take this rather simple, if not esoteric, example from my office at Morgan Stanley's headquarters in Midtown Manhattan. If I throw this pink highlighter in the direction of this Ferrari 458 Italia on the coffee table and freeze time just after the highlighter leaves my hand, you will have a very good sense of the trajectory and speed of the highlighter's flight and the sound it makes as it enters the car. You didn't have to travel through time to know that. Your prediction benefits from your experience, you've seen it before, and the context, you're seeing it now. Historic data is important, but those who have the best arising, real-time data have a major advantage. Industrial companies are TAM-rich and tech-poor. Tech companies are tech-rich and TAM-poor. If you're a $4 trillion market cap company, you're not going to become a $10 trillion company by going after a $50 billion TAM. You got to target that $5 trillion TAM, that $50 trillion TAM. That's not going to happen by getting people to spend one more hour of the day on a smart device. You need to go after the physical markets and grind out those atoms. If there was ever a TAM opportunity that could exceed the size of the global economy, embodied AI is the one. Have any of you ridden in a Waymo? They're all over San Francisco, Los Angeles, Phoenix. They just launched in Austin and will soon be running around Atlanta, Miami, and Tokyo. Our internet team forecasts Waymo's fleet to grow from just over 1,500.
I've actually seen one of those in the neighborhood one time. I actually was walking my dog and one of those cars drove by me and it was nobody in it and it was just surveilling the neighborhood, and it turned around and went back out, stopped at the stop sign, chose to go left or right. Like, I've seen one of these before. I've seen a few of these, not just one. I've seen a few of these over the past 5 years. I've seen them.
Units today to 23,000 by 2030. Now, why would the world's largest tech search engine company want to get into the autonomous car business? Because the tech is really good, it's getting better all the time, and maybe because they want to spread their bets beyond the core search business. You may soon look back in astonishment that you ever got into a rideshare vehicle with a human driver. Meta is building some serious capability in AI foundation models, simulation, and metaverse. But it's Meta's efforts in reality labs that could really open up entirely new TAMs and transform the company. What if you had 2 ultra-high definition cameras embedded in a device that you could wear on your face? Imagine those cameras capturing precious real-world data of all the things you do with your hands. Now imagine 20 million of these things in operation within 2 years, nearly 2 times the number of Tesla vehicles on the road. Every Meta Glasses user is training a humanoid avatar iterated in simulation across billions of scenarios in a digital omniverse. The glasses may be stylish, but your face is a battleground. It's no secret Amazon is a major force in AI, but its vertically integrated physical infrastructure uniquely positions the company for pushing the boundaries of robotics. In 2017, Amazon had 5 human workers per robot. In 2024, we estimate Amazon had around 2 human workers per robot. Amazon's highly automated fulfillment center in Shreveport, Louisiana, is being transformed through robotics. Our internet team sees potential for $10 billion of annual savings from robotics and automation. At that scale,
$10 billion in savings. So they about to put some massive layoffs and firing on people. I hope that makes sense. 10 billion in savings. Like, humans is gone.
Amazon can turn robotics into its own business. AWS started out as an internal efficiency measure before it became nearly 60% of Amazon's operating income. Could we see Amazon bot services in the next few years? Apple may have paused their autonomous car project, but once CarPlay gets access to the video data from inside and outside of the vehicle, then things could get very interesting in Cupertino. The skills transferability for Apple into embodied AI is pretty obvious, but we'll list them anyway. Software, hardware, compute, battery, sensor, infrastructure, supply chain. The car of the future is essentially a giant iPhone wrapped around your body like an immersive IMAX screen covered in carbon fiber reinforced plastic attached to an electronic skateboard driven by a supercomputer. Apple doesn't want to make a car. They want to turn your car into a mobile Apple store.
I'm throwing a party. This is going to be my biggest book ever. No, not like that. This is going to be my
We're often asked, what is Tesla's secret sauce? What's their moat? Well, it's not really one thing, but the combination of 6 attributes that set Tesla apart from its peers. Let's look at each of them. Data. 7 million cars on the road today, over 100 million by 2040. Robotics. In-house electric motors and actuators. Just the hands of the Optimus have 22 degrees of freedom. Energy. Leading battery storage solutions at scale. AI. A world-class AI team developing FSD, Dojo, and custom silicon. Manufacturing, the most vertically integrated U.S. local-sourced auto company in the world. Space, redundant, resilient, cyber-secure comms. SpaceX is the transport layer, the connective tissue of the AI ecosystem. So,
Okay, so looking at this right here, dreams. They're trying to get a lot of data centers. So pretty soon, I've already did videos on Sam Altman building ginormous data centers, which is going to be like the size of Manhattan, and it's going to take twice as much electricity or energy as Manhattan. So which means in the future, AI and robotics are going to be a good place to, you know, kind of get skills and expertise in. Cyber security is going to be something you want to be good in as well. And yeah, it's basically staying up to speed on AI, machine learning, or what is it, something, language models, and cybersecurity. Those things you want to be up to speed on at all times, because that's the way we're moving. And from the next 20, 25 years, that's all you need to focus on to keep your, you know, finances up and to keep yourself relevant to be able to survive and thrive in the way that we're moving, because people are not seeing this, not paying attention to it. Have to see it coming and know exactly how to navigate. You gotta move correctly, because if not, I don't believe that there's any coming out of this once it hits. I don't think people know how, in my opinion, I don't think people see how much of a catastrophe it's gonna be if you are not ready for what's to come. Because it sounds nice and good and happy and all this, but on the back end, this is gonna make it to where you have no purpose and no meaning. There's no reason for you to go. There's no work. There's no job. There's no nothing. These will turn around and enslave you. And the cybersecurity and the space and the AI is going to surveil the hell out of you, to where what's that movie, the Demolition Man with Wesley Snipes and Sylvester Stallone, that type of society will be upon you, and there's nothing you can do. Or the Fifth Element type stuff, where, you know, things are futuristic but people are poor as hell, and there's very few that have a lot of money. So focus on that.
Out of Tesla's dreams, what does Elon Musk think is the single most critical component of the company's moat? Without any doubt, manufacturing. You need to make the probes to collect the data, to improve the probes, to collect more data, to improve the probes. You get the idea here. Data defines the software, software defines the hardware, hardware defines the manufacturing. Elon Musk has used the car industry as a laboratory to develop competency in other areas. The car is to Tesla what the book was to Amazon. There are 1.2 billion cars on Earth, traveling around 12 trillion miles per year. That's 2 light years annually, roughly the distance between the Earth and the Sun 130,000 times. With an average occupancy of 1.5 passengers per car and 25 miles an hour, that's 720 billion hours of passenger time, or 82 million years. Humans spend 82 million years of time inside cars every year. 82 million years ago was the late Cretaceous period at the end of the Mesozoic era, the height of the dinosaurs. The Earth looked like this. Bees were pollinating the first flowering plants at the end of the Mesozoic era. Bees. Now, what's the value of an hour of your time? Well, that depends who you ask, but 720 billion hours times anything is a very large number. Then there's safety. With traffic fatalities still on the rise, it seems we're getting dumber faster than the cars are getting smarter.
I was drinking Kool-Aid, by the way, so don't, hit me with anything. That's Kool-Aid. I was drinking Kool-Aid, red Kool-Aid, cherry.
For those of you with a manual transmission, steering wheel having hoopty in the garage, don't sell it. These babies will be cherished by collectors as artisanal classics from an era when humans made the machines and operated the machines. And we still get asked why Ferrari trades at 50 times PE. The next time you're flying in an airplane on a clear day, take a look down at the Earth. Notice all the roads, the parking lots. See how much of our planet's surface area is devoted to vehicle transport. If AI can drive thousands of times safer than humans in 2 dimensions in the pedestrian-filled chaos of our cities, navigating in 3 dimensions is a walk in the park. Now consider what AI can do for our antiquated air traffic control systems. We estimate the low-altitude economy can eventually surpass the size of the global car market. On our calculations, one eVTOL can generate as much revenue as 10 to 15 Ubers. Advances in e-motors, energy storage, material science, communications, and compute will make flying cars ubiquitous and take some of the stress off the surface of our planet.
Avionics. So if you do avionics, I believe avionics will be something of the future for sure. A lot of flying machines and stuff like that is going to be big. So if you do avionics, I think you're in a good position for sure if you do anything with avionics, just my opinion.
No, not that AWS, this one. Elon Musk recently posted that China makes more drones in a day than the United States makes in a year, and that all future wars will be fought with drones. Let that sink in. With conventional technology, it takes 5 people to operate one $30 million drone. With AI, one person can operate 100 drones. Redundant, resilient, if necessary, attritable, working as a team in an autonomous swarm. Asymmetric capability that may call into question the very nature of defense budgets around the world. When Elijah Otis invented the safety elevator in Yonkers, New York in 1852, the venture capitalists of his time may have struggled to imagine how elevators would change architecture forever. This is New York City before the elevator. This is New York City after the elevator.
I've never thought of that before, what the elevator did. I've never in my life ever thought about that. The invention of the elevator brought in skyscrapers. That is crazy. Appreciate the follow. I can't say your name, but appreciate it. Thank you. So yeah, that's interesting. I never looked at a map of before and after the invention of the elevator. That is wild.
Think of a reusable rocket as an elevator to space. SpaceX has reduced launch cost 10x while increasing payload capacity 10x, while increasing satellite bandwidth 100x. That's a 10,000x improvement in cost per gigabyte of saleable capacity in orbit. SpaceX is creating an all-new internet that provides downlink connectivity to everything. Every car, every plane, every drone, every ship, every home, every business, every phone. On our model, SpaceX grew revenue by 60% in 2024 to $14 billion, reaching $66 billion by 2030 on our estimates. The company's latest tender offer valued SpaceX at approximately $350 billion, according to PitchBook, making it the most valuable private company in the world. On October 4th, 1957, shortly after 7:28 p.m. Eastern Time, the U.S. Army Signal Corps in New Jersey detected an unusual beep-beep signal at 20 and 40 megahertz. The Sputnik moment meant the Soviets beat the United States in putting a satellite into orbit, creating great anxiety in the Pentagon. In May of 1961, President John F. Kennedy announced the goal of putting a man on the moon and bringing him safely back to Earth by the end of the decade. And in that moment, countless 8-year-olds in the U.S. wanted to become astronauts, and U.S. math and science proficiency skyrocketed. National security is a powerful innovation catalyst. Competition with China is reawakening the Apollo spirit and catalyzing policy and public support for the next era of innovation in the fields of AI, cyber, space, robotics, and quantum. The United States didn't put men on the moon just to collect rocks and do donuts in a lunar rover.
Pay attention to these things: AI, cyberspace, robotics, and quantum. In these next 25 to 50 years, you should be focused on these things for sure to stay relevant in life.
The United States didn't put men on the moon just to collect rocks and do donuts in a lunar rover. They did it because if we didn't do it, someone else would have. A tiger cub learns by watching its mother hunt. A human-shaped robot learns by watching you drink coffee, flip a hamburger, hit a forehand, or miss a 3-foot putt. Why humanoids? Because the world was made for humans by humans, and there are over 8 billion of us to watch and imitate. First adoption, starting now, with the most boring, repetitive, dangerous tasks and environments where you can control for temperature, weather, light, humidity, and where humans are in predictable areas. A manufacturing line, fulfillment center, kitchen, a lithium mine. The TAM, there are nearly 4 billion people in the global workforce, with an average annual wage of $10,000. That's a global labor market of $40 trillion. One humanoid leased at $5 an hour can replace 2 human workers making $25 an hour, supporting a net present value of approximately $200,000 per.
Bruh, I don't know if you guys are good at math, but that's simple math right there. Look at that.
Bruh.
Look at that math. Look at that math.
Humanoid.
Let's do that again. 4 billion people in the labor market
Of 40
trillion global labor market. All right. 4 billion people in the labor market, 10K wages per year. $40 trillion global labor market.
trillion. One
humanoid
leased at $5 an hour
at $5 an hour can replace 2 people making $25 an hour.
Can replace 2 human workers making $25 an hour, supporting a net present value of approximately $200,000 per humanoid. The U.S. labor market has 160 million people. Every 1% substitution by a humanoid is worth over $300 billion, or around $100 per Tesla share.
They're going to make a killing. They're going to make this wage gap. This wage gap is going to be brutal. I'm going to run that one more time.
Or an hour. In Peachin, a lithium mine. The TAM, there are nearly 4 billion people in the global workforce with an average annual wage of $10,000. That's a global labor market of $40 trillion. One humanoid leased at $5 an hour can replace 2 human workers making $25 an hour, supporting a net present value of approximately $200,000 per humanoid. The U.S. labor market has 160 million people. Every 1% substitution by a humanoid is worth over $300 billion, or around $100 per Tesla share.
They're going to make so much money with these robots, and the robots are going to get cheaper and cheaper as time goes on. They're about to make out like this next 25 years is going to be so vital for you to buckle down and put your head down and make something happen with yourself. I don't care how you get it done. You better make it happen. You might have to even, make sacrifices, cut off any dead weight, do what you have to do, because this shit is about to be serious. Like the enslavement of the have-nots will never end. This wage gap is about to be, and it looks like the way they're going, it will be forever. You ain't ever coming out of this. Never. Your kids, your grandkids, your grandkids, grandkids, your grandkids, 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 grandkids. This is it. This is nailing the coffin shut. Like, look at how much money they saving. These are AI robots. Humanoids. They don't need you no more, and they're saving so much money without you. $100 per share to Tesla per 1%. Put your money in Tesla. At least that's one of them. Tesla, Nvidia, all those. This ain't financial advice. I'm just simple math right here for the next 25 years. That's just what I'm looking at.
Monday.com's AI blocks.
Like this is about to be crazy. This wealth gap is finna be brutal, and man, this is about to be insane. And the rich are gonna have a retarded endless supply of females. So all these women out here bragging that they only deal with certain men, the few men are about to have an abundance of women. It's not even a joke.
How can our clients express a view on the embodied AI theme? Morgan Stanley presents the Humanoid 100, a global mapping of equities across a range of sectors and regions that may have an important role in bringing robots from the lab to your living room. We divide the robot into the brain, body, and integrators, semis, sensors, batteries, actuators, encoders, harmonic reducers, screws, bearings, connectors, magnets, rare earths, and many more. This is manufacturing as a percentage of US GDP since World War II. Just look at this chart. It's not just the magnitude of the decline from nearly 30% to 10%, but the persistent, uninterrupted linearity of the decline, decade after decade, for 80 years. How much further was this going to continue before we realized that it may have gone a little too far? Morgan Stanley is making a strategic commitment to telling the story of embodied AI, leveraging our platform and relationships to help our clients identify the next crop of multi-generational compounders, transforming industries and creating new markets we believe can exceed the size of today's global GDP. The intersection of AI and the physical economy offers the chance to disprove Carl Sagan's 1995 prophecy. History books will be written about this time and the next 5 or 10 years. The impacts across markets and geopolitics are likely to be profound and far-reaching. The Morgan Stanley research team is here for you as we navigate these consequential times. We are grateful for your partnership and thankful for your business. Stay human.
And there it is right there, folks. Look at the kids. This is what they're going to know. They're not going to know any different. They probably won't be playing with each other as much as like how kids play outside like we used to do. They're going to be playing with these robots. They're going to know these robots, and these robots are going to grow up with your kids, and they're going to be their companions. First, it's going to start with the wealthy. The wealthy are going to have these things first. These kids are going to be able to know how to handle it really is going to be the wealthy is going to have these things first, and they're going to be able to know how to navigate these things. And then the poor people, the poor people are just going to get used by these things. But yeah. Shout out to them for making that video. We do have one more video left, but let's give a round of applause for that video. Wow. I'm in shock right now with what I just looked at. That's crazy work. Like, you have no idea how serious these next 25 years are going to be. That's why my whole message to you guys, is to put your head down and go as hard as you possibly can these next 10 to 20 years. Like, put your head down and focus, laser high focus, put everything to the side, and you need to your investments. That's the key to all of this. Learn a skill. Keep up with, technology, and your investments. Your financial investments are going to be key to your success in life. So you better grind and get this money while you have a chance now, because the investments that are going to have to be made during this time period are going to determine your family lineage for the rest of, I don't see how civilization is going to come out of this, or I'm going to say civilization, mankind, how humans going to come out of this on the back end. If you ain't up, you ain't never going to be up. That's what it looks like to me. I could be right, I could be wrong, but I'm looking at it and it's like there ain't no way you coming out of this. They're going to make so much money having humanoids working and not humans. I don't know what the work the humans are going to do at some point, and you're not gonna be able to come out of anything if you're gonna be under UBI. So it's a wrap. But let's watch this next video. This video here is basically the book that the 3-lettered people copied word for word, then tried to erase. So you're gonna find out exactly what this is and how this is. Now look at how they weaponize this, and then take this same concept that you're about to learn from this video and apply it to AI, using it on you, how it's already being used now. I'm not going to say much. I'm going to let the video speak for itself. It's the last video. We got to hurry because I got to get up out of here. So let's go ahead and get right into it. So let's check this out. As you can see, the name of it is, where is it? Oh, you can't really see it. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and watch it. You'll get it as we go. So here we go.
To this thing called the Alice in Wonderland. L. Ron Hubbard invented this thing called the Alice in Wonderland technique. You know that this is a confusing statement, but if we're in a conversation and I'm speaking in a really confident way, and I said something like, how different would it be if the same thing started looking now like it wouldn't change if nothing else really did? And you could just get completely open. And then the CIA, without even attributing anything to them, copied it almost word for word in an interrogation manual. And I have that PDF too.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Chase Hughes just exposed the scariest manipulation trick yet. They used to call it interrogation. But now, it's just called content.
They discovered this in the 50s and 60s that if I can confuse your brain acts as though it's somebody that's falling. So if you imagine when you're falling, your limbs are flailing all over the place, and the first solid object that they come into contact with, it's going to like grab around it no matter what, even if it's a thorn bush or something.
Okay.
Right? So anything that's solid in that moment of confusion is going to get grabbed onto. So the brain corollary to this is if a person's confused, the first logical piece of information they hear after being confused will be automatically accepted, or more automatically accepted, without being screened or scrutinized by the brain.
In the world of behavioral manipulation,
they said a torture method that they used to use is now called content. Bruh, if that don't say something, I don't know what will. A torture method that they used to use, now it's called content. They hitting everybody. Let's continue.
few tools could be more dangerous or more effective than confusion. Scientology's founder, L. Ron Hubbard, understood this long before social media or surveillance capitalism. He wrote extensively about a method now known as the Alice in Wonderland technique, which involves flooding the subject with contradictory messages, bizarre phrases, and emotional whiplash until their grip on reality begins to slip. In 1961, the CIA declassified the now infamous Kubark counterintelligence interrogation manual, and inside it was almost word-for-word instructions from Hubbard's playbook. The technique was adopted as a psychological softening tool, meant to dismantle the subject's internal logic and replace it with whatever narrative the operator wanted. The goal wasn't to extract the truth, it was to overwrite the mind.
What L. Ron Hubbard does is have people read out of this book of Alice in Wonderland. The verbiage is very confusing. And L. Ron Hubbard openly wrote about this in his work, and I'll give you all of my research on it, and then the CIA, without even attributing anything to him, copied it almost word for word in an interrogation manual. And I have that PDF too.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. And then the grandfather of hypnotherapy, Milton Erickson, started writing about it.
Chase Hughes explains it like this. Every person runs on invisible behavioral scripts, pre-programmed mental routines that help us make sense of daily life. They tell your brain what's normal, what to expect, what to ignore. But when you interrupt that script through contradiction, chaos, or emotional shock, the brain hits a freeze point. It can't run its usual logic, so it panics. In that moment, it becomes desperate for something stable to grab onto. And whatever comes next, whether it's a belief, a command, or a total lie, feels safe simply because it's solid. The brain latches on automatically. This is where the command is inserted when the person is disoriented and vulnerable. A hypnotist might say something that makes no grammatical sense. At the moment your conscious brain rejects it but your subconscious doesn't, it'll start to obey. And here's the trap. Once your brain accepts that first command under confusion, it becomes easier to follow the next, and the next, until you're no longer evaluating, just absorbing. That same pattern is now everywhere, not in interrogation rooms, but on your feed.
Fractionation is where I would put you into a trance, and that would bring you almost all the way out to where your eyes are kind of opening again, and then send you back down again, and you go deeper. So in comedy and in conversations, you can do this to people where it's like a super fun thing, then really depressing or scary thing, fun thing, scary thing. You scroll through your social media feed.
Hey, that's like what comedians do. They pull you in, make it serious, then hit you with a joke on the back end. That's like a comedian trick. Well, way of presenting comedy.
Yeah, it's fractionation as well, but it increases suggestibility.
They call it advice, they call it motivation, but it's built on the same bones as a cult initiation script. Chase doesn't name names, but the blueprint is clear. Today's alpha brand influencers don't sell facts, they sell chaos first, then order. They throw you into a mental spin cycle, then offer a handout for a price.
This may be the last ad.
That is actually some bars right there. So this should help you understand that when you're on social media, stay off of social media. If you're going to be on it creating content. Don't be on it consuming content so much, because this should tell you everything you need to know. This is a very good video to help you understand the power of what they're referring to and how you need to navigate through life and put your head down for the next 5 or 10 or 20 years. Focus on your finances, get your money up, and get yourself out of the what's the word? Consumer position and into the creator and investor position. But let's continue. We're not almost done, but we got to get this done. Where is it? There we go. Here we go.
One minute they're promising freedom, the next they're blaming you for being stuck. And right when you're most off balance, they pitch a solution. Their course, their method, their version of reality. It's not just marketing. It's psychological warfare dressed in Instagram filters.
If you think of the way that social media manipulates our brain, it falsifies a tribal agreement, and it makes us say A.
Right.
So we're willing to ignore everything that we see because we're seeing a tribe say that something else is happening.
Okay.
So it'll override our brain. And if there's one thing, like if you just, one thing that matters a lot is that our brains are not capable of of overcoming this technology. We don't have a firewall. And technology has outpaced our brain's ability to adapt to it.
Hughes explains that it all comes down to cognitive overload. Your brain can only hold on to so many contradictory ideas before it short circuits. At that breaking point, you stop critically thinking and start following. That's where the real manipulation begins. Confusion, pause, insertion. You've seen the scripts. You know nothing. The system is broken. Only we have the answer. It's the same message across 1,000 hustlers, each wearing the costume of authority. And it works. Not because it makes sense, but because it creates identity. You're not buying a program, you're buying a new version of yourself. One that fits into their tribe. One that rejects the NPCs and joins the elite. The emotional loop is intentional. Fear, then hope, then guilt, then belonging, then fear again. It's not...
This is like a lot of influencers and content creators. This is like a lot of their sales pitch and sales tactic. It really is. You see this all the time. I mean, you can't deny it. This is like 100% facts. But as we're watching this, I want you to think about AI doing this. Okay? Everything he's saying, think about what you're seeing, but then now take it to the next level and think about when AI has full control over this and it's able to do this on a scale of AI nonstop to a freaking T, to a point where it's like mastered to a whole new level. But just let's continue.
Not a side effect, it's the point. Studies back this up. A 2022 study in the Journal of Social Influence showed that rapid emotional changes increase vulnerability to persuasive messaging by nearly 48%, especially when delivered by perceived authority figures. That's why these gurus never just sell information. They sell urgency. They sell lifestyle. They sell family. And if you don't join, they frame you as weak. This isn't motivation. This is manufactured identity, designed, packaged, and sold to the most emotionally scrambled version of yourself.
The moment you get to identity, then you're guaranteeing that you can predict future behavior. And this goes really deep. We can get into hypnosis and all that stuff if you want to. And once I get identity agreement, this is the same thing with politics. You see the exact same thing. The identity gets hijacked, and then I can do anything I want because your identity is involved here. It's not you're agreeing with my ideas. You're agreeing because that's who you are.
And the most important part, this didn't start on YouTube or in a podcast or with a guy selling alpha masculinity and sunglasses. Chase Hughes is clear. The psychological tools we're seeing today were forged in war rooms and interrogation chambers. The modern manipulation playbook is rooted in government-funded psychological operations, PSYOPs, where behavior manipulation was first introduced. Here's what he reveals about the Milgram experiment.
You've heard of the Milgram experiment?
No.
Let me walk you through it. Okay. This is 1962 at Yale University. And they do a study. They put an ad in the paper and say, we're doing a study on learning and psychology. And if you come in and volunteer for the study, we're going to give you like a lunch voucher or something like that. So all these people volunteered. So let's say you're doing the study and you take it and you go up in this hallway, you meet this guy, the guy in the lab coat, and there's another volunteer there and you draw straws. The other guy draws the learner straw and you draw a straw that says teacher on it. And they say, all right, you're going to sit down here and I'll summarize it. But the guy's in the room next to you with the door shut, and you're going to sit down at this machine and you're going to read this quiz, and for every question he gets wrong, you're going to shock his ass. You're going to deliver an electric shock.
The participants were told they were helping with a study on learning and memory. What they didn't know was that the learner in the other room was an actor. And the shocks weren't real, but the participants thought they were.
And every time they get a question wrong, you shock them. But not only that, you're going to grab that little knob and move the voltage up. So if you move the knob all the way to the far right, it says XXX danger severe shock. So you start the experiment. The guy says he's got a heart condition, and you can hear him screaming when you hit this little shock button through the wall. You can hear him go ah. You can hear these little screams, and every time you're moving it up, and sooner or later he says, "I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to continue. I'm out of here. I have a heart condition. I told you I had a heart condition. I want to leave. I want to stop right now." And all these people would kind of like turn back to the guy in the lab coat, like, what do I do? And the guy in the lab coat almost every time would say something as simple as, "It's important that you continue," or "The experiment requires that you continue." So they keep going and keep going and keep going. They're up to like 300 volts now.
The voltage kept climbing, even when the learner screamed, even when he begged, even when he went silent. By the end, 100% of participants went up to 250 volts. 67% went all the way to the maximum, labeled XXX, danger, severe shock, just because a man in a lab coat told them to. Another replication of the study in 2010 by Dr. Jerry Berger, published in American Psychologist, showed almost the exact same numbers. Different year, same results, same obedience. This is what Chase keeps warning about. You don't need drugs, you don't need torture, you don't even need to raise your voice. If you combine novelty, confusion, and perceived authority, you could get full compliance. No hypnosis required. Just a clean room, a uniform, and the right script. The scariest part of the Milgram study isn't what people did back then. It's that nothing's changed. And now the lab coat could just look like an influencer with a verified checkmark.
If I can get you to think that most of your tribal members agree to X, then most people, like 90% of people, will say, okay, X is true.
Well, especially with social media, right?
Scroll, swipe, pause, watch again. It feels random, but it's not. According to Chase Hughes, what's happening on your phone is emotional engineering. Every short-form video, every ad, every comment thread is part of an invisible loop designed to pull your mind in every direction at once. And the goal isn't to entertain you, definitely not. It's to fracture your focus, fatigue your logic, and keep you emotionally volatile.
It's to fracture your focus. Let's hear that one more time. What is the point of what they're basically putting this torture scheme on everybody for? Hear this out and understand this. I mean, a lot of people hear it. Some people won't even hear it. They still won't get the message. But listen, fracture your focus. That's how important your focus is. Let's hear it again.
Mind in every direction at once. And the goal isn't to entertain you. Definitely not. It's to fracture your focus.
Fracture your focus.
Fatigue your logic.
Fatigue your logic.
And keep you emotionally volatile.
And keep you emotionally volatile. How do you combat this? Unwavering focus on a task that you have to do to get to your end goal or whatever your goal is in life. Focus on your task. Do it every day. Don't stray from it. Stick to what you're supposed to do. That's how you mitigate this.
Because that's when you're easiest to control.
Your brain versus a $1 trillion computer, you're going to lose. I'm going to lose. And I can spot all of the things and I'm still going to lose.
Social media obviously is having some sort of psychological manipulation on people.
Yeah.
What do you think the biggest impact it's having on people, other than the theft of your time?
Tribal confusion. So I get to automatically, I don't have to hack your brain. I don't have to convince you of anything. All I have to do is tell you a whole shitload of people believe this one thing. And all that is, it may not get you to keel over right away, but it gets you to say, wow, it's starting to become a pretty popular idea. I'm going to start to entertain, might start entertaining that. So technology has outpaced our brain's ability to adapt, period. We cannot adapt. Our brains haven't changed in 200,000 years. If I can trick the mammal part of your brain that doesn't even speak English So all I have to do is get the human part of your brain to translate what I'm seeing, what you're seeing on the phone, into an image in your mammalian brain, and think that it's brand new, something weird that haven't seen before. Does that sound familiar on social media?
Sure.
Weird, unusual.
Oh yeah.
Novelty generates focus. Then there's an authority, because you're thinking a lot. This thing has 97,000 likes in the last hour or whatever. Authority. Tribe is there. It's built into the likes.
And then a lot of bots in the comments that agree with it. And
Yeah.
chime in and
Can't believe he's doing this. What a narcissist. All that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
He calls it emotional cycling.
You notice that a lot of bots do be in the comment section. A lot of bots make the comments, and then people will create content, then go into a video, read the comments back, knowing that a lot of the comments are bots. Because it's already been proven that majority of the content or the comments on the internet nowadays are bots. It's not even like real people. So yeah, there's that.
And once you spot it, you can't unsee it. Rage clip about politics, swipe. A video of someone healing from trauma, swipe. A luxury car and a link to a masterclass, swipe. A breakup story, swipe. The cycle repeats. Each emotion spikes your brain chemistry, then drops it. You're not just watching content, you're being rewired by it. In short, the more emotionally scrambled you are, the more programmable you become. This is the Alice in Wonderland technique, at scale. These platforms don't just confuse you with nonsense language, they do it with algorithmic chaos. You're pushed from fear to hope to loneliness to desire in under 60 seconds, and then you're sold a fix. What looks like entertainment is behavioral warfare, and it's not your attention they're fighting for, it's your identity. Here's what he reveals about the algorithms.
If I've got you for 16 hours with advanced algorithms and technology designed to manipulate you specifically.
So the torture is zeroed in. It's focused on just one individual at a time for 16 hours. So how many hours you spend on social media, this torture maneuver is being placed upon you nonstop and by the will of your own self. And you're the one doing it, creating your own downfall. That's why you have to be a creator. You have to find a business plan or something that's going to keep you focused on a task at hand and do not stray from the mission. Stay on your mission. Best example I can give you is Jesus. Talk about a man on a mission. That's the mission. Is what you got to do. Let's continue. We're almost done. We got to finish this up real quick. Here we go.
And technology designed to manipulate you specifically. And in 1972, they could talk someone into murder in 45 minutes. If you just imagine what's possible.
And know that governments are utilizing that. It's not just people's opinions, and it's not just groups of people that are trying to convince other people to think the way they think. It's actual governments that are involved in trying to manipulate narratives.
Yeah. If you're thinking it's a left and a right issue, that's also, you may be a victim.
Most people think influence requires years of training, deep psychological knowledge, or advanced hypnosis. Chase Hughes disagrees. According to him, if you know what to look for, controlling someone's behavior doesn't take skill, it takes selection. The key isn't technique, it's targeting. You don't need to manipulate everyone, just the right kind of person. He says the most influenceable people don't walk around with signs on their heads, but they do wear it on their faces. One detail he talks about often, wrinkle-free under eyes. Not just a cosmetic feature, he links it to emotional suggestibility. People with extremely smooth lower eyelids, according to his findings and feedback from thousands of hypnotists, are significantly more prone to entering trance states and accepting suggestions without resistance. The idea is simple. If someone can be persuaded easily once, they can be persuaded repeatedly. That's why cult recruiters, hostage negotiators, and interrogators all rely on behavioral cues to decide who to engage and how. And the methods are often the same, only the goal is different. To track and codify these behaviors, Hughes developed what he called the Behavioral Table of Elements, a public PDF that outlines over 100 human behaviors ranked by their likelihood of deception, stress, or emotional openness. It's built on over 40 peer-reviewed studies and observational field data. It's a toolkit for behavioral control, not just a chart.
Essentially, it's every behavior that a human being can do, rated from least deceptive to most deceptive, and it's free online. I don't charge money for it or anything. So each one of those is a little human behavior, and they're
Okay.
rated from least deceptive to most deceptive. So this is like the ultimate one-page guide to reading a human being. And this is all of our behavior. So that are human
Behavioral control, not just a chart.
Essentially, it's every behavior that a human being can do, rated from least deceptive to most deceptive, and it's free online. I don't charge money for it or anything. So each one of those is a little human behavior, and they're rated from least deceptive to most deceptive. So this is like the ultimate one-page guide to reading a human being. And this is all of our behavior. So all on here, you can see how likely it is to be deceptive, whether or not you're going to see it before, during, or after someone's statement, or the score of deception, the behaviors that are going to confirm your findings, the behaviors that are going to amplify it and give you more information. So everything on the right is the most deceptive or most stress, where there's no behavior for deception. And everything on the left is the least. They're the most comfortable. Everything in like that turquoise is facial expressions. And everything on the very bottom is what happens outside of our bodies, like how we interact with like objects on the table and the stuff that we actually say, like I'm rising vocal pitch, increasing speed, a non-answer statement. So those are all the different ways that we can be deceptive in our speech. So I tried to get all behavior for deception detection on one sheet. So each one of these is backed by a minimum of 4 pieces of research to make it onto this table.
The question isn't if you're being manipulated. That's already happening. The real question now is, how many versions of the script have been tested just on you? Think about it. This isn't a feed. It's a behavioral lab. And you're not the audience. You're the subject. The techniques Chase Hughes exposes aren't theory anymore. They're active systems shaping what you see, what you believe, and who you become.
Okay, so I'm going to go to this part right here one more time before we wrap this up. I'm really interested in this table. So let's see about this table real quick. Here we go.
Online. I don't charge money for it or anything. So each one of those is a little human behavior, and they're rated from least deceptive to most deceptive. So this is like the ultimate one-page guide to reading a human being. And this is all of our behavior. So all on here, you can see how likely it is to be deceptive, whether or not you're going to see it before, during, or after someone's statement, or the score of deception, the behaviors that are going to confirm your findings, the behaviors that are going to amplify it and give you more information. So everything on the right is the most deceptive or most stress, where there's no behavior for deception. And everything on the left is the least. They're the most stress, where we're going to amplify it and give you more information. We're going to confirm your findings, or the score of deception, the behaviors that are going to confirm your findings, the behaviors that are going to amplify it and give you more information. So everything on the right is the most deceptive or most stress, where there's no behavior for deception. And everything on the left is the least. They're the most comfortable. Everything in like that turquoise is facial expressions. And everything on the very bottom is what happens outside of our bodies, like how we interact with like objects on the table and the stuff that we actually say, like I'm rising vocal pitch, increasing speed, a non-answer statement. So those are all the different ways that we can be deceptive in our speech. So I tried to get all behavior for deception detection.
Okay, so we get the point on that one, man. Shout out to him. You can go watch that video on YouTube if you want. Fair use on that video. Thank you. So yeah, so hopefully that gave you some insight and something that you need to understand and pay attention to, and something that'll help you dial in life, on your focus, on what you need to do, and how you need to be, how you guys need to move forward in life in general. So my philosophy on how I look at things: take care of your body first and foremost. If you need help working out, go to my YouTube channel, DnL&x Fitness. Click on the video tab and get home workouts for you. Got motivation workouts for you in the shorts. If you go to a gym and work out, you can see the workouts that I do as well. Can't make it to the gym, hit the video tab, do workouts at home. Focus on your body first. Also, dial in on your diet, and then have unwavering focus. Figure out what you want to do, and then do it every single day. Be consistent with it and drive it home every single day. Do not let nothing distract you or wave you from what you're supposed to be doing. You should be doing your business. Focus on your purpose, your main objective, your main goal, and see it all the way through. And that will help you mitigate most of the stuff that people are falling victim to, including I myself at once was fall victim to this stuff. Until now, we're not falling for that anymore. Times have changed. Things are getting better. So just stay focused. With that being said, y'all, I hate to run out here real quick, but I got to go. So take it easy. We'll see y'all next time, probably next week, starting Monday. Love you. Peace.
Jay-Z. My fame won't stop, it's the only thing I'm chasing. The game on lock, and I got the keys like Jay-Z. I'm white no nigga in Austin, Texas, in the booth, slaying beats. I'd rather be in the studio than in jail or on the street. Talking the wrong, coming off your teeth. Got that one hit to quit and knock you off your feet. It's big on, baby, I'm obsolete. Pockets chunky like cottage cheese. Real nigga, I just gotta be. Smoking weed that don't gotta see. Used to be a hustler prodigy. I love when people say they proud of me. I'm eating good, smoking broccoli, taking over blocks like Monopoly. Only fuck the ones that's my policy. Most of these hoes tryna cause a scene. Like niggas mad they not on the team. See, I got bread, then buy the dream. The game on lock, and I got the keys like Jay-Z. My fame won't stop, but the only thing I'm chasing. The game on lock, and I got the keys like Jay-Z. I'm white no nigga in Austin, Texas, in the booth, playing beats. The game on lock, and I got the keys like Jay-Z. My fame won't stop, but the only thing I'm chasing. The game on lock, and I got the keys like Jay-Z. I'm white no nigga in Austin, Texas, in the booth, playing beats. Counting cash and smoking green, can me blow a cloud like a smoke machine. The bitch on my dick, she got notes to sing. Bumblebee ass, yeah, I know it's thing. I plug your bitch like a 6-string. Jordan with the bitches got 6 rings. Smoke till my bitch split screen. The rest with pain pills and sipping lean. Riding dirty, but I'm extra clean. Lyrics nice, but I'm extra mean. All-star heavyweight like Overeem. The bitch learns like she Overeem. I flip money like Clover G. Gang hustle like TIP. It's all baby like D.I.G. Acronym like KRT. The game on lock, and I got the keys like Jay-Z. My fame won't stop, but the only thing I'm chasing. The game on lock, and I got the keys like Jay-Z. I'm white no nigga in Austin, Texas, in the booth, playing beats. The game on lock, and I got the keys like Jay-Z. My fame won't stop, but the only thing I'm chasing. The game on lock, and I got the keys like Jay-Z. I'm white no nigga in Austin, Texas, in the booth, playing beats. Killing beats like RP, no hard shit with your artery. Cutting up, who sharpens me? Rolling up accordingly. Pulling hoes, no sorcery. Rapping like y'all forcing me. If I text nigga, my bitch Georgia Peach. Pimp tight nigga, I do more than cheat. Cold like D-Wade, I ignore the heat. Bitch, I'm away, hit the short police. Money jumping like a nigga on the sneeze. Come to bad James, get me on the beat. Bitch, I'm always winning like what's the fee? The game